All right. We are live. I have the perfect temperature beverage and it's gone. Anyway, I'll get it and heat it up. Okay, so I'm super excited about this training that I'm offering tomorrow. But if you don't get to see the training, here's a taste of what we're going to be talking about. So, oh, yeah. I'm going to restart this and get my beverage. No, I'm not. Okay, let's keep it going. So, we all have this inner saboteur. And if you haven't heard of it, it's okay. But basically, this part of us that has dreams and ideas and wishes gets kiboshed by this worst enemy that takes away our progress and it takes away our ideas of being successful, and it puts things in the way that take our focus away from our greatness. Now, life definitely happens, but there's ways in all the things, no matter what happened to you, for you, with you, but there are things that no matter what they are, your self saboteur can make the decision to focus on it one way or another way or another way. And that is up to you. Now, even with worst case scenarios where people are actually victimized, right? Whether it's physical abuse or emotional abuse or a car crash, let's say, the way you handle it for the long haul is the most important thing. Why is that? If you're living in a place where your stories from the past are continuously brought up, whether they're in your mind or you're sharing them out loud, it keeps the past with you more than it has to be. So let's say you were in a car crash, right? And you have a physical change in the way you live. You have a choice. And the choice is you can feel like a victim, like, why did this happen to me? Now, listen, in the beginning, maybe. But how many years can you keep that and still live a great life? Not many. Or you can, I have this amazing client. You all know her, Mindy Dubberg, right? She calls it a car crash, not a car accident. I really want her to get her to talk about that because I'm just realizing I don't even know why. And the way we talk about things, the way we think about things, has a lot to do with how we live our lives. So the inner self saboteur is something every single person has. So I'm here to focus on what's next. But in order to focus on what's next, you have to look at the things that keep you stagnant, the things that keep you stuck. And I put out a quiz called From Liberation, nope, called Stagnation to Liberation. And, I love rhymes. But the stagnation comes from the secret agreement that you have with yourself that does not let you move forward, that does not let you give yourself credit, that does not let you do the things, think the things, create the things that you're really here to create. What does that look like? That looks like being in the same job that you fucking hate for years. That means you are fine. Everything's fine. And you hear yourself saying the word fine. Or maybe you self-isolate. Or maybe you've sort of given up on yourself in certain areas like dating or art or having kids. Like, if these are things that you want and you've given up, that is your self-saboteur. And if you hear yourself right now, as I say that, thinking to yourself, well, she doesn't understand, I'm 48, I can't have kids. I beg to differ. There are many ways to have children in your life, and they don't even have to be with you full time. But it's your creativity and resourcefulness that will be open to that and be able to create that. Or let's say you went to art school and you had these big dreams of being a painter. But like somewhere along the line, you got cranky about it. And now you're just like, yeah, I'm never going to do that. So here's the thing, it's one thing, and I'm going to like tree off into another branch to say, like, I'm not doing that anymore. But to have a bad attitude about it, that is something within you that is also speaking. And that's your self saboteur who's like, you can't actually have that. Like if someone's like, oh, I wanted to be a painter, but I'm not interested in that anymore. Now I'm a poet. Like if you have an art desire and it just goes away, even for your own free will, not even to just make money. Your inner self saboteur is the one that really controls all these pieces that doesn't give you the opportunity to shine. And they're really self imposed limitations. And what it takes to work with this self saboteur is compassion. So if you recognize the patterns that you have in your life, if you recognize that there's certain things that come up that you like wince about, I can give you examples, but all the people that I speak to all the time, mostly it comes down to having some idea of a milestone that wants to be reached, and then just kind of having a bad attitude about it, or being very general. Like if I were to say to somebody, oh, I remember, we met a long time ago and you used to want to be a painter. Did anything ever happen with that? And here's a way of avoiding is the person would say, no, artists, we always give up. Nobody makes money in art. That's just, so they don't make it about themselves, but they generalize it sort of to take the heat off. Now, it's not wrong, but to recognize it is an inner saboteur that doesn't want to own up that they've given up on themselves. I mean, it makes sense, right? I'm not saying go around and be like, yep, I'm a loser. I gave up on myself many years ago and now I'm just a sucker. No. But I am saying, and I am inviting you all into the idea to get curious about whatever happened to those big dreams, whatever happened to that, whatever happened to the little kid in you that was like, oh, I want to go skiing in Aspen. Like, what happened to the little kid in you? What happened? So the quiz is fun. And why am I talking about the quiz? Let me see. I can put it up in the comments. The quiz is fun because you can use it daily. And I've been using it daily to see what part of me needs the most attention today or right now. And oh my goodness, yes. No, I didn't, Karen, but I want to see it. So this quiz is fun. It took me, when I tell you, it could be 15 years that I wanted to make a quiz like this, but I always thought, oh, I want to be perfect about it. So that's a perfect segue. So when our little inner child is stifled, usually people are bitter, pissed off. They're in a place where things are hard. The to-do list is loud. It's never done. People are wrong. Everything sucks. And they may be smiling at you. This may be just internal workings. And as a behaviorist, I notice these things really loud. So the inner child, when the inner child needs nourishing, it's really important to check in with them as much as you can. And what is a check-in? It's very simple. It's like, what do you need right now? Like little girl, Shane, what do you need right now? And you can do it in the mirror. And I actually just did it because I'm so trained in myself. And what my little inner girl right this second wants to do is show you my art journal. How fun is that? And it's right here. And so this is something that I've been using for sadness, for joy, for pleasure, for boredom. My little friend down the block, she draws in it. Her name is Noah. And it's just a big art journal. Look how fun. Collages, markers, all the things. My friend's Sweet 16. Now it has a place to live. All these things. So cool. When it was New Year's. So all these things keep this activity, this whole book, keeps my inner child very happy. Then we have an inner teenager. I only focus on three. That's what I'm going to focus on tomorrow at the 12 o'clock training. And that's because it can be so intense with so many different characters and parts that make up your personality. But we're just going to roll with three or four of them. And the fourth person, the fourth part, is not a saboteur. The fourth part is the liberation. And the fourth part is the integrated one. So when you're fucking on your game and you're not mind fucking and you're just like flow, now you're integrated. You don't have to work a lot with your inner parts. They're so resilient. They're so open to hear and see, like, what's next? How can we be better? But if you ignore them, you as a person who shows up is like, you're just off. You know those days when you're on? Well, when you have the inner saboteur charged up, you're off. Here's the other thing. You may not know which part is sabotaging your thriving, your liberation. And you get to know these characters in you, these parts in you. And the goal, yeah, I like that. The goal is to recognize them in real time. So let me think of a good example. So let's say, oh, I know, here's a perfect one. So there was a time that I was really into this, it was the beginning of my improv career. And anyone I spoke to, I was like, oh my God, you're going to have to come with me to class. It's Wednesday night on the Upper West Side. It's amazing. You take all your problems and you put them into the theater. And then when you leave, you just, and I would speak like that, like breathy and rushed and excitable. And what I didn't realize at the time was it was my inner child who was selling people on coming, not price wise, but just getting them to be interested. And all they may have been feeling or sensing with me is, whoa, that sounds like a lot. I don't want to do it. And if your inner child were intact, you might be like, oh my God, I want to do whatever Shane is feeling excited about. But their inner saboteur was like, oh, no, no. That seems like way too much vulnerability. I'm out of here. And so for 2 years, I went every week, and anyone I invited did not come. Nobody said yes. And there's benefits to it, right? Like I got to be there for myself. I didn't have to do any caregiving. But the idea is when you're invited into something amazing and you say no, it's really good to take that minute and be like, okay, I'm saying no. I wonder what is here. Like, what is my little inner child? She doesn't feel safe. This seems crazy, and it's going to keep me away from my house for too many hours. And I have an elderly dog, and so I'm saying no. Now, that's a valid reason. But if you go around, staying in the no land and staying in victim land, that's a problem because you're not listening to the inner sabotaging part that is saying no because things are too much fun and you don't deserve fun because your fucking to-do list is not done. You got that? So the inner child was first to say no, and then the hag came in and helped that inner child not do the thing. So why is this important, right? It's like, okay, we love self-development, right? We love learning about ourselves. I do too. Why? Here's why. So I believe confidence comes from knowing yourself so well that you don't have codependency on anyone else for your joy, for your excitement, for your yeses, for your nos, for your romance, for your love, for your sexuality. If you can have access to the parts that make decisions with you and for you, your confidence is up because you can own all your stuff. So when you own, sometimes I'm a victim and I feel like things are happening to me and I'm pissed at God. You own it versus like, I don't know, I just can't seem to get a break. When people say that, I'm like, ooh, I don't know how we can hang out unless you're ready to look at that, or own it. So a lot of people in my world really want the others, whoever their other is that they're not getting along with or having a situation with, to own it. When somebody owns it, there's room for exploration. And then the self-saboteur is no longer operating you. So when you know your parts, you can say like, okay, here's one. It's an intimate one. So when I meet someone, if I meet a man and I'm attracted to him, my inner teenager, without a doubt, will take over and be like, oh my God, you should act aloof. Maybe he'll notice you from across the room and you can have a fairy tale. Oh, geez. And it's so crippling for me. It's like really terrible. So instead, I will be with that person. I'll show up at that person and I'll be like, wow, there's a lot of energy I'm getting from you. And, I'm confused in knowing what it is, but I just want to say that out loud. So I outed and I owned the teenager part of me. Now, did she do the speaking? No, because if she did, she'd be like, oh my God, are you my husband? My inner teenager around a certain archetype of man is like really hard to be with. I'm smiling, but it's not funny. It's really hard to be with. But what's exciting is when my integrated one speaks on her behalf, so she's not running the show. So this work that I'm describing to you is taken from my improv acting that I love dearly, 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 in internal family systems, which I love dearly, 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 and my behaviorist trainings to use behavior to have a better life, to tweak and refine so that you're never in full on off center mode for way too long. Okay, so this is what the training is going to be about tomorrow at 12. Oh, I love it. Hello, everybody. It doesn't say anybody's live. Hello, Wilfredo. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So tomorrow I'm doing this free training at 12 because this is really important stuff. And I know a lot of people already know about the inner child. But I have, as a part of my unconventional icon method, included these other 3 parts because if we just focus on the inner child, we're not meeting all of our needs. We're not meeting most of our needs. Because the inner child is a very specific part. The inner teenager is very fucking different. It can be very aggressive. It can be very rude. And it's not comfortable. And so by not knowing about the inner teenager, it keeps a lot of your parts, it keeps a lot of the sabotage activated at all times. What that could look like is not wanting to be told what to do, having a problem with authority. Now, if you're your own boss, guess what? You don't really have to deal with it that much. But you still have to go to jury duty and you still have to get your car inspected. And those are places of authority, oftentimes run by people who are in a triggered state. So it's your job to find your center and not get into fights with people, because that's giving your power away. So I'm super excited about these things. And because it's really more fun to hang out when you're fucking present, you know? And it doesn't mean you have to get rid of these parts and clear them. No, you keep them close by. They do not take the driver's seat, they don't take center stage, but you engage them in your life and you don't always give them what they want. So, my inner teenager would love to order a fucking pizza at least once a week and eat about 3 or 4 slices. My integrated one is like, no, that's not happening. And some people call the integrated one the parent, like you can parent yourself. But it's just not going to feel good. Physically, emotionally, mentally, I'm not going to feel physically good if I eat 4 slices of pizza and if I order it once a week, especially if it's like regular pizza from the pizza place. But knowing that's what she wants, it's just great. It's like you don't give a kid everything they want, but you're like, thank you for telling me. I'm so happy to know what you want another day. Or go have, if you want pizza, right? Take yourself to a really nice place where they have fresh cheese and fresh sauce and fresh bread and enjoy it. Not just like ordering it, waiting by the fucking doorbell, and then woofing it down with an ice cold soda, like in your pajamas or on the couch. So it's really about getting to know which part is running the show the loudest and then managing their needs so that when they want to offer you some wisdom or something that's helpful, that they're going to give it to you and you're going to be there to receive it. So this is really good stuff in terms of relating, right? We're in this relational embodied intimacy group. So if you're relating with someone, all kinds of fucking parts are coming up between you. And it gets fucking messy. And yeah, relationships have mess in them. But wouldn't it be cool if let's say your inner teenager, good boy, is all fucking pissed off and she's like, give me your phone. Or I don't know, some like crazy dramatic thing. And then your integrated one is like, wow, I'm really jealous right now. I need to take a walk around the block and then maybe let's check in again. How fucking sexy is that when you can own what's happening and not just let that shit lead? The other cool thing is, even if you don't own it in real time, because that's like that's like sort of abnormal to do all the time. But the cool part is you can use it at any time. So let's say you do flip out and you get fucking, tantrumy and you're like, I looked at your phone. Blah! And you have this big crazy tantrum. Okay, you had a blow up. It's an hour later. You're like, wow, I want to apologize. I could not get myself in check. I was flying off the handle. I was totally in a fucked up state. This reminded me of something that I experienced as a child. When you're ready, I would love to unpack it with you. That's it. So it's not like the only way to be great at this is to do it in real time, but it's like doing it so that it doesn't build cobwebs, right? If you have a tantrum in a relationship and then it starts to build cobwebs, it's harder. That's why for me, the real time is amazing because then I don't create all kinds of stories. The hag loves to create all these fucked up stories. They didn't like you anyway. They were so desperate to, like, all these really terrorizing things. So I encourage you to use this stagnation to liberation quiz. Get free from feeling stuck. Even if you don't feel stuck. Like, if you don't feel stuck, so now I want to like change the quiz a lot. I'm just going to leave it as it is. But I also would love your feedback. Let me know if you think it's too short. Are there enough answers for you? Because the back end of creating this quiz was way easier than I thought. And like I said, I might have opened this account 10 years ago. Like, I've really wanted to have a quiz that ended up in like which inner child is stuck, and I just kept thinking like, oh, I'm not going to do it right. Like, my inner hag was in charge. So the antidote to self-sabotage is to take tiny, tiny steps in doing this. right? So finding out which inner character is most fucking you up right now. And that's it. Just noticing that. And here's the other cool thing is like when you take the quiz and let's say you get inner child and then you're like, no, notice that. Notice the resistance that's coming up from the answer that you get. It's such cool stuff. I almost see it as like an emotional pinball machine, right? Um, and then let's say you take the quiz and you see, I swear it's been checked. But let's say you're doing the quiz and you see some grammar mistake. And and then instead of finishing the quiz, you're like, she fucking spelled something wrong. There's no period that belongs over there. Ooh, notice that. That's your inner hag, the perfectionist. So noticing these parts can be overwhelming. But once you integrate them into how you operate, how you live, how you think, how you meet people, how you relate, it becomes easier and easier. I promise you that. And the other cool thing is some people, I talked about this last Friday in the Friday Coven, don't work actively on their inner parts, but they're intact for some reason. So that's a really cool thing. The other thing is even the shadow of the inner child, the shadow of the teenager, the shadow of the inner hag are also interesting. So we're not trying to get rid of them. We're befriending them so they don't run the show without our permission. Okay. So I will see you tomorrow right here live at 12 o'clock noon. I'm going to show you the 3 steps to kicking self-sabotage to the curb. You can do it by yourself. You can do it in the group. You can revisit it. And I would say for now, like use the quiz as a starting point. All right. Thanks for watching. Bye.